Welcome to another signature podcast. So today we have got Alan.
I came out of the army, fresh out of the army, 18 years old. Didn't really know what to do with my life. I started out as a spanner boy, what you would call in those years a grease monkey.
Obviously the goal is to start at the bottom and work yourself up, because then you know everything.
Sometimes it is difficult. It takes time to check the compound damages as a result of the primary problem.
I think today it feels for me a lot of things are more replaced than repaired.
In today's economy, people are driven by price. Clients would phone around and without really assessing the problem, a workshop might give an overall price. This particular workshop has quoted what they've quoted without A, assessing the vehicle, and B, not having the necessary equipment to repair the vehicle.
I think a client expects us to drop everything, fix his car. But what about the other 10, 15 customers who also want it? You can't have 15 technicians. Welcome to another signature podcast. So today we have got Alan. He runs the workshop from LSD. So we're having Alan here today, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the workshop. Alan, welcome.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Signature. Nice to be here.
Good. So tell us a little bit about the background in the workshop environment from your side, where it is, what's happening, that you know about workshops and the situations and what you do.
Okay, just a bit of a background for myself. I came out of the army, fresh out of the army, 18 years old. Didn't really know what to do with my life. I got an opportunity through a family friend, said come and work in the workshop. So yes, I started out as a spanner boy, what you would call in those years a grease monkey.
Okay.
Cleaning workshop, cleaning tools, and I'd come home every day full of grease, and I slowly picked up as they taught me, as things were developing. So I learned slowly. I then got an apprenticeship with a franchise dealer, and I ended up doing my trade through Toyota. And looking back, as I say, the rest is history. Worked in fleet management for 6-7 years, and then mostly in the workshop environment. So on the floor, service advisor roles, administrative side of things, as well as the technical side. And then, yes, I've also had the opportunity to specialize in performance, diesel technology, turbo upgrades, performance enhancements on your turbo diesel. So, yes,
Okay,
that's the
nice.
background.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so obviously the goal is to start at the bottom and work yourself up, because then you know everything. From bottom to top at least is where you're going into something in the middle or going something at the top where you don't have the experience.
Most definitely.
Because then you can guide whoever comes in, you know what you're talking about.
Most definitely. Like I said, I'm grateful to have the opportunity starting out as a young adult.
Tell me something else. Okay, so a customer arrives at your reception, bring in a call for a service. They see the reception. What's in the background? What happens in the background in the workshop and that? Because I don't always see that.
No, often they don't. And sometimes you have occasions where clients do want to see what's going on in the workshop. So often what's happening in the background scenes is making provisional space for the work to go in. Depending on what type of work is going to be undertaken, would depend on what type of sort of setting the workshop would need to be in. So if we're doing assessment work, we need to make sure that the lifts are open, technicians' tools are ready to go, fender covers on the vehicles, and yes, just prepping for the incoming work.
So what you're saying is very important to know what you've got coming in tomorrow. It's very important to know that you've got everything you need to do the jobs that you're going to do. We always know that there could be more stuff to be done because you're diagnosing and you're looking at the vehicle and you're trying to sort out what needs to be when it's in. But so preparation and prepping is vital with anything that's in the workshop to know.
Most definitely.
All right. Another thing, people always just think they bring a car, it's fixing a car, doing this. But I'm sure that there's a lot more towards just doing that.
Yes, Rob, there certainly is. Often what happens is you will have sort of consequential problems relating to an initial problem. So often all of those aspects need to be checked. And sometimes it is difficult. It takes time to check the sort of compound damages as a result of the primary problem.
Okay.
So yes, often assessment needs to be carried out as thoroughly as possible, ensuring that the primary repair is covered
Okay.
first time.
Another thing, technology has obviously changed a lot from 10 years back to where it is. I know I've been in the game long enough to know that I think when it started off, or when I started in the game, also at the bottom, a lot of things in cars that time were repaired. I think today it feels for me a lot of things are more replaced than repaired.
Most certainly. I think, yes, it's a trend in manufacturing where components are made to be replaced. A lot of your components, your control units, they're all pretty much sealed units. So
Okay.
in days gone by, you would be able to open up, clean up, repair, and reassemble. Today, it's very much not like that.
Okay. Another question that I wanted to ask and find out is, obviously the people in your workshop have to be properly trained, and if we can say educated in what they do, like a technician needs to know what he's doing. Are there different levels, or is there an exam that they take, or how does that work to have that technician fully trained to what he needs to be do? Because obviously not everybody can just bring a car and say, you work on it.
No.
It's obviously there's training on certain things that you say.
Certainly, it does. It goes in levels of experience. Guys start out and they're more workshop hands, and as they grow in their skills, they develop. Their skills develop as they go. But a fully fledged technician should be able to do the heavier labor as well as the more fine-tuned, more specific work, smaller fine-tuned work in terms of cluster checking, dash removals, that kind of thing, where it's not as heavy-handed as removing diffs, gearboxes, and that kind of thing.
All right, so like a guy that's worked a year in the workshop, what will he be able to do, if he can say?
A guy that's been in newly in the trade, he is sort of your labor hand. So he would be involved in helping the technician remove gearboxes, remove drive shafts, and all the while he's basically shadowing the technician.
And learning, obviously.
And learning as he goes, yes.
Okay, 100%. Another question that I wanted to ask you was, a customer's bringing his vehicle in, and we all know that. I think one of the worst things is they're furious, the car broke, and I can get it. I get it. I mean, we've all got our own personal cars and that. The first thing, you got to get to work, the kids have to get to school, this and this. So they're obviously upset. And obviously the first person they speak to gets the lashing out of it. But I've always said it's not always the workshop's fault. And what I'm actually trying to find out is, how do you guys handle customers that are coming in and saying, right, here's something wrong with my car, what do we do? They want a loan car, they want this fixed. They're saying you should have fixed it, even if it was prior service or not. Because there's a lot of things that I think we saw that on a program that I saw with exchange cars, where an engine light comes on, but the car was 2 days back in the workshop, now the light's on again. A customer assumes or thinks that's exactly, because we've got to understand, they're not trained. They're not educated in, my engine light's on again, car's got to go back to the workshop. But that can also be something different. Am I right when I say this?
You are spot on there, Rob. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, depending on which way you look at it, in today's modern vehicles, there are so many control units, electronic components that receive certain signals from different actuating components, and an engine warning light can sometimes represent a very large number of problems. So often, if there's a signal communication or miscommunication between modules, it's going to trigger a warning light. Like I say, today's vehicles are so technologically advanced that if they don't receive certain signals from certain components, and it might be something very minor to something extremely important, that would trigger the warning light. I think, just going back to your first question, how would you handle a customer's response to that? I think it is, as far as possible from the workshop side, to try and inform the client as best as possible in terms of the technological situation around that. And just to try and inform him and to meet his expectations, but giving him the necessary understanding around that. And often you find when you've explained to a client, you've explained to a customer what the possible scenarios are, they're often able to understand that and relate to where you're coming from.
So tell me, what are the most common mistakes a client makes when choosing a workshop to take his vehicle? And I think there's quite a lot of them out there when I go, because remember, we take it to a workshop, what do we know?
Certainly.
You understand?
Certainly. In today's economy, people are driven by price. Often what would happen is clients would phone around and without really assessing the problem, a workshop might give a overall price. And the client may do this across 2 or 3, 4 different workshops. And like I say, price driven, they'll go to the cheapest workshop. Often not realizing that this particular workshop has quoted what they've quoted without A, assessing the vehicle, and B, not having the necessary equipment to repair the vehicle. So I think that is a common thing. The other thing is that clients would take a vehicle to a workshop not realizing that there's certain criteria that workshops have to meet in the modern age that we live in. Things like RMR, the MIWA accredited workshops. In days gone by, it used to be AA graded workshops. And these workshops usually live up to compliances that are set out by these organizations or the holding bodies.
I want to ask something else, and this is quite a serious thing that I want to try. It's more a question to the clients and to send us a message. If they're at a workshop, you bring the vehicle with a problem. This vehicle stays a month in the workshop. They blame us. Why is it not finished? What's going on? What is it? Firstly, I like to inform that we didn't build the car. We didn't put it together. What and how do we get about it? We're just trying to repair. We're selling the car. We always got to remember, on a used car, that's brought from the guy from the street, the same as what the guy's buying it. Do they tell us all the truth? And I can promise you, yeah, and I'll say it, they don't. And we sit with a problem, we've got to sort, and then the client's upset and they want to cancel the deal because he doesn't. And I understand 100% they're feeling upset. I get it. What must we do? We have to start at a plan. You must understand we've got a workshops running with cars. I think a client expects us to drop everything, fix his car. But what about the other 10, 15 customers? Do you also want it? You can't have 15 technicians, 20 technicians so that everybody's cars. So I think the public must understand we're trying our best to get it. And I maybe asked the question and I'm answering the question with you, that I want the public to tell us what do we do? Because if the public's more open and honest, but they won't do that because the reason is they won't get the price for their car. So we're fixing something that somebody else has brought, but we to blame. And I think that's what happens a lot in the workshop.
It happens time and time again. I think in every workshop there's going to be operational setbacks. And sometimes the truth is only found once these things are opened up. And unfortunately, sometimes you're opening up a can of worms because nobody's given you any previous history. Previous history has been covered to sell the vehicle. And in situations like that, I think open communication with the client needs to be upheld all the time. Just letting them know what setbacks, what sort of challenges are being faced in terms of parts, repair methods, and all of that, just to bring a bit of light on the current situation, on that specific instance.
I think that the public must also just understand, and this is not taking a dig at the public, please understand me correctly. I think they must just also understand. I've had a car that's been 3 weeks in a workshop. It's happened. What do? I bought it, I tried it, they're repairing it. Remember all the costs that occur on the customer if you bring a car. I'm talking about a car you've bought from us that has come back in a week or two in a month. Those costs get covered us, but everybody's throwing the CPA Act, 6 months we've got to look at. That is incorrect. And I think people must go and study what a CPA Act means and the 6 months means so that people can understand what's covered, what is our responsibility as a dealer towards, and what we're covering to do that. Trust me, let me tell the public, we do not want your car for a month. We do not want it more than 2 days. We want it back at you because we know you're going to be phoning us. We've got a parts issue we could have. We've got a technical issue. We've got an electronic issue. We've got a power issue, a water issue. There's many things that happen. So believe me, we do not sit with your car for 2 months to have you shouting at us. And to understand, we are trying our best. We're also human. We're just giving a best shot. That's why there's warranties that are important to assist. That's why there's communication, that we keep you updated. We are trying our best. And I think the public must realize that Come sit in our shoes and then you'll feel how it feels to try and just help. We are doing a workshop to help you. And I think that that's important for people to understand it. The public, I get you cross. I get you upset. You don't have a second call. You do now, you got to use. But we're trying our best. We're definitely not sitting around waiting for you. And we're covering the costs. So if you get an auto electrician out, and you get a specific auto electrician that does certain work, which we have, they are charging 1,100 Rand an hour because of their specifics that they know. He spends 10 hours on that. That's over 10,000 Rand we pay. Not you, we. So believe me, we want to get it out. And I think that's the public misunderstanding. I'm saying it from the workshop we've got. That is, I can't talk about other people and I can't talk about other workshops. I just want to also tell the public outside there what's happening. Tell me another thing is quality control. And I mean, we do that on deliveries. We make sure that cars are perfect. We go through the 101s. We do the checks. We do the checks again with the client. We test drive with the client. If there's an issue, it goes to the workshop. We do quality checks. And you know what happens a lot? With a client, nothing. A week later, there's something. There's nothing we can do. It's a car. It's built. It's used. These things can happen. But what is your quality control checks with you?
Yes, Rob, I agree with you 100%. Although every effort is made to ensure that the vehicle is in the best possible condition that it can be in, what we do is we work through check sheets. So those check sheets will cover all the basic functions, overall operations, from a technical point as well as a cosmetic point of view. So we will work through those check sheets, ensuring that we're delivering the best possible product at the time.
Okay.
But over and above that, overall workshop check sheets, from a quality control perspective, we have two measures in place, where the technician or the mechanic that has done the job will run through the check sheets. That is then overseen again by the workshop manager, workshop foreman, just to ensure that what has been stipulated to be done has been done and the necessary checks have been done. So it's a two-phase process. Yes, it's a two-phase process.
So you, for the public to understand, and again, I'm talking about our workshop, there's a double process done. So to make sure that if something happens afterwards, and I'm maybe going on to this, is to understand we have done our part. We're not just finishing and putting the, here's the key, go. The technician checks, ticks, signs he's done it. Then the workshop foreman or manager ticks that the workshop technician has done his work, and he checks as well. He doesn't just tick the stuff, he physically goes and does a random check on the vehicle. Has this been tied? Has this been tied? To the best we can do, we're all human, so we're trying this. So understand we are doing our checks. I think the public must just be a little bit lenient towards us when they come in, that we can do our job. Because otherwise all it ends up is a big argument. This one's upset, that one's upset, this car. And please understand to the public, cars need to be booked in. A lot of times clients think, I bought the car 2 weeks ago, I've got a little rattle, and they just bring it in and say, fix it. It doesn't happen that way. You have to, we can quickly have a look if it's necessary, but then we have to book it in at a later stage. But it's all about preparations. Clients need to phone in. It's not just always in the client's favor to do what they want to do. Bring the car, stop, look at it now. We have 10 other customers' cars that we're busy with. So we just all have to be a little bit
Patience and understanding.
patient and understanding. Phone in. I've got a rattle. Can I bring it today? Can I bring it? And a lot of times, we find clients don't stick to the times. So I'm not having a bash at the public. Please do not. But I would like you to understand as well, we say 4 o'clock, we say 10 o'clock. Client arrives at 2 o'clock, and then he wants help now. He demands it. That's not fair. It's not fair to the workers. It's not fair to everybody else out there. So if you have a booking for 10 o'clock, please be there at 10. We assist. We will either fix it quickly if we can. That's from the workshop foreman or manager. Alternatively, they will give it a booking and it will come in again. Just work with us. Don't work against us. We are there to help. We try the best we can. We're not perfect, but we try. So I think that's from my side. And just one thing as well, safety. How important is your safety in your workshop? What are you got to have reports belonging to safety? Is there inspectors? that come, because you spoke about RMI, you're an RMI approved workshop.
Yes.
So you have to have certain standards to abide.
Yes.
And the RMI, what does that mean?
RMI would stand for Retail Motor Industry Conglomerates of Workshops.
So if you're an RMI workshop guy, what does that mean? You can do work, warranty work, and then get it done. If you're not RMI approved, you cannot do warranty work or work that is a standard to be.
There's a standard in terms of repairs, standard in terms of safety. They have various and specific standards that need to be upheld and complied to. Like you mentioned, one of them being warranty.
They say if you RMI approved, you can do warranty work and claim.
Yes.
If you're not RMI approved, you can't do warranty work. You can just do the normal services and stuff. But if there's a claim on something and the
That's
customer's got a
correct.
warranty,
That's
you
correct.
can't claim against it because
That's
you're not
correct.
RMI approved.
Yes.
Okay.
There was also right to repair. To my knowledge and understanding, you need to be RMI registered to fall under right to repair, which means that you are able to, as a RMI accredited workshop, to carry out work on manufacturers, brands, Toyota, Volkswagen,
Okay.
still under warranty periods.
All right.
So yes, just to get back to
Safety?
safety, safety is critically important. Today, there are so many factors that can go wrong in terms of work operations, equipment failure. So safety is of utmost importance, and that needs to be lived up to and measured up to in compliance with safety acts against different industries, motor industry being one of them. Yes, we have to comply to safety standards that are basically stipulated and laid out by RMI as well as the safety acts of South Africa.
Good, thank you. Then tell me the last thing that I want to ask you is, how important is teamwork in a workshop? The role of it and the people and everything.
I'm glad you touched on that, Rob, because teamwork is of the utmost importance. It is the essence that drives a workshop forward. Everybody needs to be of the same understanding that what we are doing not only for ourselves, but for the greater good of the public.
Yes.
And we are meeting the objectives that are laid out before us in terms of RMI, MIWA. We need to meet those standards, and we can only do that as a team. Everybody on the same understanding, and people that are willing to do that. Come together and we will discuss how we're going to reach our objectives. And teamwork, without that,
Yeah.
there is no teamwork.
100%, but I think teamwork is important from the client.
Most
Public,
definitely.
everybody, we're in it together, we're trying it together.
Most
So I think-
definitely.
All right, so anybody, if you need to ask questions, you want to find out about stuff, you got more stuff to ask us, or maybe you've got something that you think we should look at and be able to do, mail us, call us on the podcast, leave a comment on that. Maybe there's stuff we can improve on. Give it, send it, tell us. But just keep it in, how can I say, reality, realistic. There's some things we can and some we can't. But we want to hear from you guys, good or bad. We are trying and we'll see what we can do. So once again, thank you for joining us on our signature podcast. And we cannot wait to hear from you guys. Thanks, Alan, for coming.
Thank
And
you, Rob.
Good luck in your workshop.
Most definitely. Thank you, sir.
Take care.